What's up, everybody? Thanks again for stopping by for another edition of March 4th with Mike Bauman. I, of course, am your host, Mike Bauman. Whoever you are, wherever you are listening from, thank you so much for checking out the podcast. If you're a returning listener, I greatly appreciate your continued love and support. And if you're a brand new listener to the show, man, thank you so much for hopping aboard that pirate ship. You can follow me on Instagram at March 4th Pod. I am on YouTube at March 4th Pod. I'm over there on TikTok at March 4th Podcast. Hey, man, you know what? Y'all made it here. So that means you found me somehow. And I truly appreciate each and every one of you taking the time to check out another edition of the March 4th with Mike Bauman podcast. I hope that everybody is doing well, man. This is officially the last episode of 2024. So it has been a fun ride. It's wild how quickly the year went by, but it's been a great year for the podcast. So I want to say thank you to everybody who is rocking with the show. I mentioned it before, but this has been the biggest year yet for March 4th. So for real, man, I'm filled with a lot of gratitude. Obviously, with the holiday season, it's a time of giving, it's a time of reflection, it's a time for some New Year's resolutions. But your boy is incredibly grateful, man, for everybody who is rocking with the show. All of you who take the time to like and subscribe, to leave a rating and a review, to tell your friends, who send me kind words, all the artists and the wonderful people who I've had on this show who have, said some really kind things to me about the podcast, including this week's guest. I truly am humbled and I'm really grateful. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, man. My mama and my daddy raised me right, and they raised me not to be short of my thank yous, man. And so I just want to say thank you to all of you out there. I love you all. Even though I say it at the end of every episode, I'm going to say in the beginning, keep the faith and be kind to one another. Be kind to yourselves. Be kind to yourself heading into 2025. Offer yourself some grace. Offer yourself some time to reflect and then get going on whatever it is that you want to get going on now, because time is not promised to any of us. And today is all we have. And I know those sayings can sound cheesy, you know. Anytime I say one, I think of the sign in the South Park classroom that is so perfect to all that stuff that you would see your teachers have growing up. I think it's like math is universal. Um, so anytime I drop one of those on here, I'm like, oh man, am I being a cheese ball? But it's true, man. I spend a lot of time ruminating. I spend a lot of time worrying in my life, with my anxiety. Um, and what's that old saying? If you're depressed, you're thinking about the past. If you're anxious, you're thinking about the future, whatever it is. But I've been open on this show about my struggles with all of that stuff. And really, I'm just here to say that we're all works in progress. So offer yourself some grace. You don't know how you're going to handle something until you go through it. And sometimes your biggest teacher is indeed your last mistake. There I go with the sayings again, but your boy is reflective today. So take this time to reflect on 2024, whether it was good, whether it was bad, whether it was fair to Midland, and just understand that you have it in you to do amazing things. And we all have a purpose, I believe, to discover while we're here. And the best legacy that you can leave behind is one of love and kindness and just being an awesome human being, man. It's true. So thank you to all of you. I truly appreciate it. And like I said, I'm incredibly grateful. And speaking of grateful, I honestly could not think of a better way to close out 2024. I couldn't think about a better guest to have. The way this conversation went and the music these dudes are making, they're incredibly down to earth guys and they rock out. They are none other than Rad Stacey out of Phoenix, Arizona. These guys blend elements of easycore, pop punk, hard rock, hardcore. Like they're awesome dudes, man. Their latest EP, Vibe Rider, just came out on November 18th. It is a great listen. It features the single This Isn't Tennis, which deals a lot with kind of the mixed emotions that one goes through after a breakup. And I think we all can relate to being brokenhearted and kind of trying to figure that out and how to deal with it. But the whole listen is really great, man. Some of my favorites are the aforementioned This Is Tennis. I also really loved Creeping Sleep, Smile, Some 82. Nice little nod there. But these guys are great, man. Their debut was Shh Tell Em All in 2020. Off of that one, I really liked Push, Burn, Death Noir, Let's Go. They also had some dope tracks in the last couple of years. Night Traffic, Still Here. So these guys are a lot of fun, man. They really are. Their music is a great vibe, and we get into that on this one. Obviously, we talk about Vibe Rider. The artwork is really sick too. I encourage these guys heavily in this conversation, as you'll hear, to make it a vinyl because that is just so eye catching. So I'm gonna say it again here in the intro, fellas. You need to turn that into a vinyl and a cool T-shirt. But they were really great guys, man. And this conversation really encapsulates what this podcast is all about in terms of just perseverance, moving forward, turning your tragedies into triumphs, and trying to find the light through the darkness. Having a creative and positive outlet to channel all that, having friendship and bandmates who help you do that. And so I really appreciated their time. And like I said, the universe, I really do believe works in your favor. And it's a great way to close out 2024 with this podcast. So without further ado, I'm gonna shut my big yapper and give you guys my conversation with Ian, Elijah, and Joey of Rad Stacey. Here it is. All right, dudes. Well, there we go. Well, thank you again so much for giving me some of your time and listening to my little spiel before I officially hit record, just as an introduction. But appreciate y'all joining.
Heck yeah, thanks for having us, man.
Yeah, man, we appreciate it. We're stoked to be here.
This is gonna be good.
Hell yeah.
So, just as an intro, since we got multiple members of the band, why don't you tell people your name and what you play in the band, and then that way, when you're speaking, they know who's talking, fellas.
All right, go ahead.
All right, I'm Elijah. I do guitar. That's about it. Yeah.
I'm Ian. I'm one of the lead singers and play guitar.
My name's Joey, and I also play guitar. We're all like, we actually just are all guitars, and that's the band.
You're also the other vocalist.
Yeah, I also sing. Yeah.
Right on. Well, thanks for joining me, fellas. And just as a place to start, just doing my research leading up to this bad boy. I read that you guys kind of came together from different bands in the scene, but kind of going back even before that, before the forming of Rad Stacey. One thing I usually like to ask people is, what was sort of like the rabbit hole moment that got you guys into music? Because I feel like for people who really love music like us, there's kind of that moment, whether it's a person, an album, a song that kind of gets you going. For you guys, what was that?
For me, I would say Angel Maker. I'm a big deathcore guy, and that's just always been my background. So joining this band has been kind of a change of gears, but it's been good. Enjoy myself here.
Well, I mean, man, like as far as musically goes, I just need to take these out because the echoes driving me a little crazy. But as far as musically goes, uh, I mean, because I was inspired in so many ways as a kid musically. Like I was raised around, like my dad was in bands growing up, and like we were always listening like Nirvana. Like that Nevermind album came out. I was born in '94, so that was like in the background of my existence, and so. But I'd say like the real moment where I like started actually going down the rabbit holes with like probably when I was 14 with the Ramones. I got really obsessed with them. My dad introduced me to them and showed me how to play Blitzkrieg Bop on the guitar, and I was like, bro, that's so sick. And then I just like went down that rabbit hole of like looking into the history and punk rock history, and then I was 14, 15 at the time, and those years of like rebellion, and those years of just like experiencing those like emotions that you don't really understand, but for some reason these songs that you hear that are like, they kind of explain it in a way that like makes sense. And so that was really attractive for me about it. And then from there it was just that rabbit hole of starting a band and playing on stages up until, still playing on stages, and just I'm still down the rabbit hole.
I have no actual recollection of when I started music. I got a guitar when I was like 12 or 11 or 12. My parents got me a guitar after like a year of piano lessons, and essentially that was kind of what started the whole thing. And I wasn't even aware that like contemporary music existed in like the 90s until I got a guitar teacher who was like, yo, it's really cool that you like classic rock, 'cause that's what my folks listen to. But he's like, have you heard like Green Day and like some of the shit like your friends are listening to and your peers? I was like, I have no fucking idea what you're talking about. And so he started showing me, like, I think the first song was When I Come Around, and I was like, okay, shit. And then I heard it on the radio and I was like, oh, this fucks. So I was really into like pop punk. And then long story short, my parents took me to the West End in London to see the Buddy Holly story. And it's amazing music. Love Buddy Holly, one of my biggest influences. But then I started like listening to their little like 3-chord, 4-chord progressions. I'm like, this is literally what like Blink and Green Day are doing. It's just sped up. And so I just got really into kind of understanding arrangements and getting into how that worked. And then started performing at like talent shows. And I think I was in my first band by the time I was like 14, playing in a bar when I was like 15, getting kicked out as soon as the set was over. And just got addicted to the whole like macabre, just getting on stage, the chaos, everything from being told to my face, like, oh, you guys suck. Cause like I definitely played in some bands that fucking sucked. And, friends coming out and cheering us on, getting some attention from, local radio, getting attention from the ladies, all that stuff was kind of cool. But at the end of the day, I just like being on stage, for those 15 minutes to an hour, however long set we got, like nothing else matters. And it's like the clearest moment for me. And it's just something I have to do, because the times I haven't had music in my life were not just depressing, but I was like constantly getting in trouble, constantly just not a good place. So like music has been, more than just a passion, but it's everything that I do and kind of put together. So that's kind of how music has pulled me around for the last like 20 something years.
Well, thank you again for sharing that with me, man. Like I always like to know where people start. Like for me, I have a big brother. We have same dad, different moms. And he was like 6 years, well, he's 6 years older than me. So in like the mid 90s, he was 13 and I was, 7. And he was really into the 90s grunge stuff, but also really into Metallica and Guns N' Roses and Korn. And so like some of my earliest musical memories and kind of like what got me going down the heavy music rabbit hole, which is still to this day my favorite stuff. I love all of it, but heavy music's the stuff that just grabs me the most. Was like it was actually the era of Metallica that a lot of people are like, oh, they cut their hair and they went more radio. But I remember like the Until It Sleeps music video, pretty vivid. And the very first CD I ever got, I've told the story numerous times on the show, but the very first CD I ever got, back in the 90s, when the record companies were really making money on those CDs. Remember, they would put out the single, and then it would be like the single, and then it would be maybe a couple of live tracks or like a demo.
Yeah.
You would do that before the record would come out. And I didn't know like what I was looking for. I just remember Metallica. My brother loves Metallica, and I wanted to be like him. And I went to CD Warehouse with my mom on a Sunday in Toledo, Ohio, and I just found this Metallica Until It Sleeps, and it had like a Rorschach. Was that Rorschach, like where they show you images? I remembered like this Rorschach image. I took it home, put it in the entertainment center. My dad
The
always
entertainment center. That's a millennial throwback right there.
you know what I'm talking about, the living room entertainment center that my dad
Yeah.
two cabinet speakers. Listen to the first track was the was the studio single Until It Sleeps, and then the very next track, it was still, I think, in like the kind of semi-alcoholic days for Metallica when they used to really, really drink and go hard. And James Hetfield was just saying, MF like every other word. And my mom was like, "Oh, honey, you can't listen to that. We got to take that back." So literally, like within 2 hours per CD, went right back to CD warehouse and had to take that back with whatever Easter money I got. But yeah, so that's my intro
Tragedy.
to like heavy music. And then I went and saw my buddy's band was my first concert when I was like 19. He used to be in a metal band called Inner Sanctum, and then we went to Cleveland when they opened for. They were on the bill with Drowning Pool and this band out of Detroit, Critical Bill. And from there, I just kind of kept going. So, yeah, man, I love music too. But for you guys, playing live shows and stuff, Rad Stacey came about. What was it, 2020, like pre-COVID? Right? That's kind of when things started with y'all.
Sort of like Rad Stacey was kind of like mid-pandemic. Like, so Rad Stacey's origins came out of Joey and I's other bands. We ended up, I don't know, we started playing together probably in like 2018. At this really shout out to the Rogue Bar, and any Arizona real ones out there know what the fuck the Rogue was about. And I was in a band called The Disconnect, and he was in a band called What Separates Us, and we just hooked up on a random like fucking weekday show, and it was just kind of a vibe. We're talking shit together. And this dude's sick as fuck, Joey. I was listening to his lyrics and listening to his like the shit he was writing, and I was like, yo, that's really good. So we definitely we need to go talk to this fool after the show. And we did, and we all kind of hit it off, and actually ended up producing two tracks for What Separates Us. And one of those tracks actually was a version of This Isn't Tennis, because it's just a fucking banger of a song. And then you fast forward like a couple years, Disconnects on life support. What Separates Us was just an interesting situation. I was like, hey, let me step in and keep What Separates Us going. And we just kind of broke it down. We're like, dude, we just need to start a band together. And actually Joey started on drums. So if you look at some of our old videos and pictures, he's the drummer there for a lot of our shit.
Probably the first like year, at least year. Yeah, that was such an experience. Yeah, it was all like, hey, we need someone to fill in on drums for our band. And I was like, dude, I don't play the drums, but I will definitely sit down and play the drums. I mean, I know kind of how to a little bit. And then it was actually an awesome experience because it like challenged me as a musician and made me better. And then it just, I just found like a new passion for like a new instrument. It's like I never had the chance to really vibe with that instrument before. So it was my first opportunity to really like freaking rip on those things. And I'm a huge Dave Grohl fan, huge, I'm a Hawkins fan, of course, RIP. Yeah, so those guys just their passion just always fueled that fire in my heart. I was like, dude, fuck yeah, this is my chance. Like I get to go slap on those skins and make some kind of impression on the skins or whatever, and it was cool. But anyways, I play guitar.
He's being fucking modest though, because when he got behind like, so if you listen to like especially like Night Traffic, and those songs, and like he's an amazing drummer. But yeah, so we were playing for about a year or so with him on drums, and then we had this show that was an acoustic show, because our bass player at the time, we were just a three-piece. It was Joey and I, and our guitarist had left to go do bigger, amazing things, and so we had a bass player, and he couldn't play, and we didn't want to leave our boys, hanging. We're like, dude, do you care if we just do an acoustic set? And he's like, yeah, whatever, fuck around. And it's this big outdoor show, and so Joey and I sit down, we learn like half of our songs on guitar, and then we do like half covers, like MXPX, Green Day, Blink, All Time Low, all that shit. And we're like on stage play, like this is acoustic guitar, like we're on the grandpa's guitars, just like playing, and we got a whole crowd in front of us. People start moshing to this
acoustic set.
Fucking acoustic set, bro. And Joey's singing, and he and I just our banter and the chemistry. So like it was one of those moments where like after the show, we just kind of looked at each other. It was like, you felt that, right? He's like, yeah. Like I'm like, you need to come up front. So we're gonna go find a new drummer. And that was kind of it. So then we found we had my cousin sit in for a while. He's an amazing drummer. But
we had Derek. Remember we had Derek?
Yeah, we had Derek.
Mr. Derek Smith, freaking amazing musician.
Yeah.
I was in a band with him in a separate band at the time. and then
Zaptic Zephyr,
yeah,
founding member, I think, like Arsenic Kitchen or some shit.
Yeah, another one of these local bands out here.
Yeah, fucking props to them. But yeah, then eventually we sat down and were like, hey, your brother was in What Separates. He's an amazing drummer. And then Joey's like, oh yeah, we can do that. And we're trying to find bass players. He's like, my other brother plays bass, like a very musical. It's like working with the fucking Jackson 5 over here.
Yeah, I was like, here, bring in the family. We're gonna make it. Just like they come into the line, like different instruments.
And then all of a sudden he's like, okay, cool. Our first new band practice with you and me up front. It's gonna be Toby, our drummer, Justice on bass. And he's like, Elijah's coming. And I was like, dude, that fucking little dude who fucking is always sitting in practice. Cause like, so all of them used to live together, Joey, Justice, Elijah, and Elijah would just like hang out with us in practice when we jam at the house, and it was just like noodling.
Yeah, I've always been a bedroom guitarist. This is my first band, and I never really thought that I would ever be in one. So it was a nice surprise. But
I knew you would when I first heard you play. I was like,
did you tell Elijah that he was going to be in the band? Or did you just tell him to show up? Because Elijah, were you as surprised as we never had this conversation? I never asked you this. Were you as surprised as I was to show up at practice the first time?
Yeah, it really just happened very fast.
Yeah, pick that guitar, bro. Let's do it. You want to play in a band?
Yeah, because I sat there just learning all the Rad Stacey songs on a fucking 8-string, making it work.
Oh yeah, dude. Kick ass.
Yeah, and then it was like the first practice probably was like 2 years ago of all of us just being solidified. So it's been a process, but definitely, Vibrighter is a culmination of all of that. I mean, Shhh Tell Em All in 2020, Night Traffic, still here, like awesome songs. But to have something come out when it's like the solid lineup of musicians in a studio setting together, because some of the stuff we've used, like modelers for guitars and tracked drums, drum samples and shit blended in with what we do with all of our other stuff. But Vibrator is 100% old school, like organic drums, no the fuck's the word I'm looking for? No
processed,
no triggers, nothing like that. Yeah, no processing. Guitars, playing them through cabs, all of that. No, we don't fuck around with any post production on our vocals. We went in there and we just wanted to bring that just the rock element back to it. So I mean, obviously there's, if you listen to it, there's like strings and there's piano and there's all kinds of weird shit that we put in there, bass drops, what have you. But like the core part, we wanted to mix like our level of theatrics and production with what we grew up listening to, which no shade on what it is, but something that you don't hear a lot of the pop punk, a lot of even metalcore, easycore, all that stuff that we are, a lot of it does push so much of the post-production stuff, which we do, and we're not abashed to.
It's an instrument in itself, but
we're like, let's fuck around and see what happens.
Right. I mean, and there's just something about that raw, like, that the raw, like Sun City, I believe is what it's called out there. That's where Nirvana recorded their Nevermind album. That inspired my heart. Like, dude, we have to do something that's just fucking dirty and like honest, and it's just all of our personalities just at their truest, forms. Because I feel like that honesty is what just keeps us going, musically, and keeps us like just vibing with each other, and keeps us playing, getting to the next show, showing up to practice, because I mean, everybody knows how much of a struggle it is being a musician and having that, like, that continuous passion for it, especially in industry that's like hard to stay consistent with and be in and be involved with, and it's tough, but anyways, so we wanted to just like give ourselves that opportunity to show our raw roots, I guess, and that's what that's where Vibrator kind of was the vision, I guess, in a sense.
It was definitely Joey pushing me too, because I'm definitely like a post-production kind of bitch where I'm just like, yes, let's make everything sound so fucking tight. And he's like, you know what? You need to like just take a step back and like enjoy what we can do. And then, because live, it's like we do that. We don't use a lot of anything. So I was just, it was very cunty going through the process with being like, this needs to sound. And he's like, turn off your brain, go be 13 again and just fall back in love with what we've been doing. I was like, I trust you. So, you know, props to him for getting me out of my fucking producer element and just back into falling in love with his performing music on tracks, which was really cool.
Joey's good at bringing that side out of everyone. For sure.
So thanks, guys. I try to. I mean, that's what it is for me. You know, and I think that's like what made me fall in love with it. You know, like somebody like the Ramones, where it is shitty and trashy, and you think about their roots, and I'm like, bro, like that's what it is, man. Like it is shitty and it is raw and it's ugly, but it's also beautiful, you know, and that's like why it's perfect, you know.
You called the Ramones shitty twice, just for the
fuck
record.
Yeah, dude. and they would agree with it 110%. I guarantee you. They're sitting here, they'd be like, "Fuck yeah, we were shitty," but that's why it was awesome. You know, there's literally dog shit on the floor. You know, in their first shows with like two drunk dudes sitting at the bar, like flipping them off. You know, I'm like that. If that ain't honest punk rock right there, like, you know, I mean, and I know that's like extreme, but like, and that's why I love it so much. It's a weird like back and forth. I don't know. Punk rock is very like, you know, like that.
Because we were talking about your like affinity for Metallica. I was just like, dude, okay, so I low key like kind of like Saint Anger, but from like a bigger point of view, I was like, please don't let this turn out like fucking Saint Anger, like just gnarly and weird, and I can't handle it. But
hey, Death Noir song.
Death Noir. What about Death Noir?
Sounds like Metallica.
What do you mean?
Your voice, it's perfect.
Oh, dude, straight up, dude. The guy I do work for said he was like, dude, you guys need to go down that Metallica route, bro. He's got that gritty with Death Noir, especially.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, dude.
That was one of the songs that I wrote down from Shhh Tell Em All. That was one of the ones that I wrote down that I really liked. Let's Go, Push, Burn. I mean, the whole thing's really good, but it's funny you say that because that's one of the ones that I wrote down. But cool to hear you guys talk about the vibe, no pun intended, of Vibe Rider too, because listening to it kind of took me back to like the late '90s when like pop punk I feel like was really ascending, and I just remember that sound. Obviously at that point Green Day was already like the kings of what they were doing. You mentioned Nirvana. Even I think like hardcore Nirvana fans would probably, you know, tell you some of their favorite songs are probably from Bleach, even, you know.
Oh yeah.
Sound of that album, just like that whole era in like the late '80s, early '90s, like that whole sub pop era with what was going on.
Yo, yeah, sub pop, hell yeah.
But yeah, I like the fact that, like you guys said, that you didn't. I mean, and again, I don't want this to come off like the record as far as how it sounds, but listening to it, like I feel like it'll translate well live, and just on the stream of thought of what you guys are talking about with the post production stuff. There's so much cool stuff obviously you can do with plugins, and you know you can literally get the guitar sound of whoever your favorite guitarist is with like what is it? There's like neural SP or whatever. There's all kinds of stuff that you. But I also think there's something cool to just, you know, sort of that vibe of like four on the floor, jamming, being in the same room. And I think that you guys did capture that on Vibe Rider for sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
That's so awesome.
I mean, shout out to our boy Jalapez at Audio Confusion out here. Like I've been working with that dude for
I love him.
Fucking 20 years. I think I was just a little teenager the first time I rolled up, and he was younger than all of us when he recorded me the first time. So and he's OP as fuck. So like anybody in Arizona knows Jalapez. But yeah, he really was, you know, instrumental in being like, here's what we need, here's what you have. And just also like just, you know, supporting us, you know, as we're going through that process, which was, God, it was probably like a 6-month process, and just the level of love that he has for his artists that he works with, and, you know, in post-production, just making sure the mix is right, making sure we have what we want, but also holding us to be like, this is what you said you wanted, stick to that. So he's a dog, and we love you, Jalapez.
Right. Oh yeah, dude.
Mm-hmm. It turned out great, man. Like I love, obviously this isn't tennis. The aforementioned Sum 82, um, Creeping Sleep, and Smile. I thought Smile was a great closer, by the way, too, as far as the track listing. I feel like the way that you guys set it up with having this Nintendo as the first one and then Smile be the last one. And also shout out to that artwork is freaking sick, man. Like that,
Right.
I don't know if you have designs of doing it, and take my opinion for what it is, a grain of salt, dude. You just met like 40 minutes ago, but that should be vinyl. That is like something when you go into a record store and you see that, people would be like, "What is that?"
Fuck
So
Hell
yeah,
yeah.
dude.
Hell yeah.
I agree 100%. Because yeah, I was telling Ian the same thing. I was like, dude, it's like ah, like that's like kind of the energy it has, I mean, and then there's like, who's this chick? Like, it kind of has like a like classic vibe. I don't know. Yeah, it's a vibe. It's a vibe.
Shut
we
up.
wanted to say we wanted to take the Shhh Tell Em All kind of visual of just having that to like another level, kind of keeping that just kind of thematically there. But yeah, no, I was super skeptical sending it out because I did a bunch of different versions. I was just like, hey, here's this, and everyone was like, oh, that should be it, and I was like, oh fuck, so I'll figure out how to put the title Vibrator on it somehow. And so I'm glad, I appreciate that you like the artwork, because I was like, oh, out of all the things I came up with that I thought were really cool, I was like, awesome. And they're like, oh, we like that one. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that was like the most egregious one of them all. Yeah, there it is. Appreciate you.
She's a vibe.
yeah, that should be
He rides it.
that should be t-shirts, that should be vinyl. Like that's so freaking sick. I love stuff that looks like it could be from like the 50s. I don't know what it is about like the fonts that were used in that era. Like we all know it, like the Chevrolet font.
Wow. Mid-century, baby.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
hair, the hairstyle.
There's a poster that you guys can't see on my other wall over here, and I mean it's a
fucking
pretty
look like I can see it.
I'm visualizing it right now. I can see it in my third eye.
but it's like of all the national parks. So I'm a bit of an outdoorsy guy. Not really. I couldn't start a fire to save my life unless I had a lighter. But
I was in Boy Scouts.
I like doing a little hiking. Shout out the Boy Scouts, man. But it's like all the national parks and all the artwork for all the parks looks like it's from the 50s. So yeah, so long way of me saying I'm a big fan. I'm a huge fan of stuff that's like simple that but stands out and like the colors pop. So Ian, you did that? You do like graphic design and stuff?
Not well. Yeah, I just kind of fucked around with it. I started off with just kind of like using some AI, which is a very weird thing to be dealing with right now. But yeah, started there and then just got into Adobe and just kind of was like, okay, cool. Let me see what I can come up with and mess with. I did commission a couple artists to do things, and what they came up with were, I was like, not it. Money well spent just to give me like a sense of what all of us wanted. And I was like, oh, cool. So yeah, I mean, again, same kind of thing where, kind of like when you cut demos, like here's a bunch of hours and time you put into a handful of songs, you just kind of cut them. But you can take some of the best of those demos and create a great song, which is actually a lot of what Vibrator is. At least with the stuff I wrote, everything Joey writes is just like ready to fucking go. But like, but yeah, same kind of thing. Like, you just kind of have to feel out what you're going with. So yeah, no, I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I mean, for me too, and I don't know if it's just because of that era of my life. And again, I think you guys captured kind of like those core memories for me, but like pop punk and hard rock and like easycore. I know you guys kind of put that all in the blender, but it's just I don't know, like it kind of takes me back to like when I was in junior high. Like I said, that era, like when I was in seventh, eighth grade, Sum 41s was coming out. To this day, like anytime I hear In Too Deep, I immediately remember the music video they did in that pool. It was just like it was just like a fun vibe, and that record was so freaking good. And all those dudes, again, shout out Metallica. They're huge Metallica fans too, but yeah, I think you guys definitely captured a vibe on this, and this is Tennis, which I believe was the lead single, right? Like
Yeah.
the lyrics to that and the musicality to that is really sick. It's a great opener, but also I just feel like a lot of people can relate to that. So for people who aren't aware, and maybe they're, I know we'll have Rad Stacey fans listen to this. Thank you for listening. But for
Thank you
people
so much.
Thank you.
who are new to you guys, can you tell them about the vibe of that one? I mean, obviously the subject's pretty universal as far as heartbreak, but reading about when you were writing it, it was like you literally just wrote it when you were, what was it, like at the hotel desk you were working at the time, like you just poured it out, and that's kind of where it came from. Did I
That's
do
all
my
you
homework
did.
right?
I mean, yeah, I mean, pretty much. It was like I was yeah, I was living so I'm from a little town up north in Arizona called Williams. So there's like 3,000 people there. It's like actually a cool like little town because it's where people from all over the world get on the train to go see the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon's like just right down the road. So anyways, yeah, hotels, restaurants. I worked all over the place like that. So anyways, so
Polar Express.
yeah, Polar Express, that's there. And during Christmas, yeah, it's like, yeah, I do love that town. But yeah, so at the time I was working at a hotel, and I would just got out of how long was that relationship? Like 4 years or something like that. But
Sound great.
yeah, it was, yeah, something like that. It was a long relationship, is my point. And so yeah, it's just like that, like you said, like that feeling that everybody can kind of relate to. Like it ended, and you're kind of just a little confused about it. But at that time, I actually I started What Separates Us. And that's what I was writing the song for, was that, I just was sitting behind the desk and I was writing it for our project we just started with my dad, my brother, like, he plays with Rad Stacey now, Toby. And then my best friend growing up, his name is Wes.
Shout out Wes.
Shout out Wes Perkins, my boy. We actually, me and Wes, we wrote the song, the music together. In What Separates Us. Like I kind of came to him with the lyrics and the idea, and then it kind of formed from there.
That video's on Facebook, right?
Yeah. We actually
look
posted a video. I don't remember what year it was, man. It was like 6, 7, 8 years ago, something. But it ended up getting like a significant amount of views for us. It was like it got like 5,000 views. We were like, "Whoa, dude, that's crazy!"
Wes's vocals were insane.
Yeah, and we it was the first time we like played the song together. We went up to the top of Billings Mountain, and we played it, and yeah, and the video just went really well. It was cool scenery. It was like kind of rainy in the background, and people liked it, and people were like, yeah, you guys should keep playing this song, and I mean that was like the first time that I like kind of fell in love with it. It was after we played it that time. I was like, yeah, that was awesome, but yeah, it was just in that moment of just like I'm not going to be sad about this, I'm going to take this and I'm going to turn it into something positive, because I'm so tired of being sad about stuff, at that point in my life. I was 23 years old, so just have everything to be sad about, and and so just like I'm so tired of just like being sad about it and writing, like, because I've always written songs, and since I could play guitar, I've been writing songs. I was actually in a band with my dad and my brother when I was like 15, and that's where I started writing songs. And so I wrote all these sad songs about heartbreak and about how much I love this girl, and then and then songs about high school and whatever. And so I was just like, you know what, I want to write something that like kind of captures that same like sadness, but then also is like triumphant, and is like can kind of give, it's like the My Chemical Romance, I'm not okay kind of like, energy. And that's like, because I was raised with that stuff, I was raised in that Blink era, that My Chemical Romance, like all those like, pop punky, like I didn't get the girl, I didn't get the girl. And, I'm going to sing about it, and for whatever reason, that's an energy, and that a lot of people can relate to. And it's like, I'm just going to yell about it carelessly, and just say these words that for whatever reason my heart relates to. And I can just, not worry about whatever specifically it is at the moment, but just kind of let this song take me away. And that's, and that's why I like the dynamics, and you get down into that, like the lowness and the kind of hip hoppy sort of stuff. Cause I'm definitely into hip hop, and I love Mac Miller, and I love, man, I mean, I love Joji, I love Post Malone. Those are all one of my all-time favorite artists, and I know that they're all kind of like, they're the mainstream guys, but there's a reason for that, And
he's on a big Sabrina Carpenter kick right now.
Yeah, dude, yeah, I've been fucking with Sabrina Carpenter, bro. But anyways, so yeah, I'm a huge like pop, fan, and so I think This Isn't Tennis kind of captures that idea too, you know, because that's kind of what's popular, you know, is for whatever reason heartbreak and all that stuff. But anyways, I could talk forever about the song. You know, it means a lot to me, obviously.
A lot of people can relate to that subject, and I think what's cool about what you guys did with that song is it doesn't have a sad vibe. And don't get me wrong, man, like I love me some sad songs, and
Yep.
you know what I mean? Like I'm a big hip hop fan too. And Goodbye and Good Riddance from Juice World. Like when I went through a bad
Ooh.
breakup a few years ago, I mean, I just listened to that like on a loop.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of hip hop too, shout out the Free Boys who are also out there in Arizona, friends of the show. Check those dudes out. They also have a podcast and they're hilarious. So the Free Boys, if you're into hip hop, listen to the Free Boys.
Free Boys, we'll fun with it.
Yeah, they're in your neck of the woods, man. And they're really good dudes and hilarious. But yeah, I think that was a great way to kick off Vibe Rider. And even the name of it, Vibe Rider, like it's just cool. How did you guys come up with that name?
Oh, bro. Where did that even start, dude?
So Vibe Rider was originally a song that
that's right. It was a song that you wrote.
It wasn't a song I wrote. It was a song that Sean wrote, who was playing bass for us. But like I just named it. Like I was like, oh, Vibe Rider.
Vibe Rider.
And then when we was like making the whole thing, we were looking at it like, okay, cool. What should we call this? And I was like, what about Vibe Rider? Because it's like, I mean, it is the essence of what we're trying to fucking do. But also it's just fun to say like the linguistics of it. If you say it fast enough and type it into your phone, it shows up as something else. So
yeah, and that was my point. I was like, dude, we're here for your pleasure.
Yeah, it's not safe for work.
If you shut
up. It's the Rada, mate. If you say it with an Australian accent, you get a clearer picture. The Rada?
Please don't.
He's there, but yeah, no, so many people have just have pulled up some questionable searches looking for our fucking songs.
I know, right? Sorry.
But yeah, I mean,
underage listeners.
Rad Stacey, loved by moms everywhere.
Right,
dude, that's what I'm saying. But like, no, I mean, at the end of the day,
anyways, we're
like,
just goofballs, dude.
Straight up, the whole. I mean, that's what it is. It's just kind of a vibe, you know. It's just a vibe, right? Like, this is what we have. I mean, back to the same thing you're saying. Like our gist is kind of like a lot of our songs are kind of like sad and unfortunate, but all written in the major key. You know, God, what was it? It was Ronnie Radke. He was saying like, fuck, I forget what album it was, but there's in Tragic Magic, the song, he was like, you know, he writes tragedies in major keys.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that fucks. But like, that's also kind of like our thing too. It's like, you know, if you listen to Smile, which is another, which is a song I wrote that I appreciate you liking. Again,
it's my mom's favorite.
Super. Yeah. Moms everywhere love us. You know, it's a fuck song and it's incredibly personal, but it's upbeat and it's, you know, it's fun.
I actually teared up listening to it the other day.
Damn, that's real.
Well, for real, dude.
Nah, it fucks me every time we play it live. So when we play that song live, the coolest thing, and it's the most humbling thing, because, you know, when you're up on stage and you're asking an audience, and most of the audience, you know, they don't know us. We're, you know, working with guys that are doing way bigger things than we are. Yeah, I'm like, hey, like, here's the thing. It's the last song, and I want everybody to turn your flat phone flashlights on, and, you know, it represents somebody you either love that's with you, but if someone especially that's not with you anymore. And I want you to turn to how many, I ask, like, how many of you came out, you know, with somebody, like a friend, a best friend, a significant other, you know, whatever. You know, I want you to just acknowledge them. You know, look at them, put your arm around them, dab them up, give them a kiss, whatever. Because this song's written for all the people that, you know, that I've lost and we've lost. And every time without fail, you know, so many people fuck with that. And I'm just like, that's humbling as shit. And that's why I'm addicted to being on stage. Like, I could be back here. I love producing. I love writing for other people and doing all that. But man, you get on stage and you see, you know, I'm fortunate enough we have two. I love co-vocaling because there's times where I used to jam out and watch people react to what Joey's doing. And I'm just watching them like, dude, that's fucking crazy. You know, and, you know, occasionally I get to look up while I'm singing and not staring intimately at my guitar to not fuck up. You know, so it's cool that, you know, that message is getting through in some way. And it's not just, oh, and listen to the music and the lyrics blend in. It's like, you know, it's cool that people are fucking vibing with what we're writing. Oh, look what I did.
They're picking up what we're putting down.
Yeah, live shows are a spiritual experience, man. Like,
Oh yeah.
like that question where it's always where people say, if you could have a superpower, what would it be? And you people say, oh, I'd be invisible or I could fly. I mean, to be honest with you, singing superpower. I wish I could sing and emote with some of the stuff that I've gone through, and I've had a great life. But when you go through heartbreak or you go through death, you go through loss, like there's songs that I listen to this day that are like I remember the first time I listened to Black from Pearl Jam after I went through a
Yeah.
horrible breakup, and I was like, dude, this song, I've always loved this song, but it sounds different now because I
Yeah.
understand of what he's talking about in that song. And when I listen to Smile, and I listen to Vibe Rider all the way through like three times, that song to me, and I appreciate you sharing the meaning behind it. Like when I listened to it, I kind of heard like just sort of like the way I internalize it's like coming to grips with like getting older and like there are some people who aren't here anymore and like you long for those times when you had those people um or you had those times like maybe there were better days and now there's not better days ahead but you're just kind of coming to grips with all that so
Mhm.
it's actually cool to hear like the meaning behind the song and the fact that people are vibing with it live because that's what it's all about, man. Like I can't imagine that feeling. Like I'm not envious of people, but anytime I go to a show and I see somebody up there doing their thing and it's like from their heart and it's authentic and fans can feel that. So it's cool to hear
Mhm.
that that resonates with people.
The funny thing, not to like glaze my own song, but like that wasn't the original Smile. Like the original Smile, if you go back and listen to Shh Tell Em All, what we missed was the original musical arrangement for Smile. And then it became What We Missed because it just wasn't like some of the lyrics and some of the stuff, it just didn't work. So this song took about 8 years to write, you know. So it became What We Missed. I love that song. And
That was a good one. We used to play that live.
yeah, I mean, we can do some acoustic shit. We got all these guitarists, which is badass. But like, so then originally, Smile, the Smile that came out in Viber, the official Smile, the real Smile. And if you actually go look up, not that anybody will, but AWG and the Disconnect on like SoundCloud, you can find the original version of Smile, the demo version that's out there. And there's a few lyrics and sentiments that are there. But then right before COVID, I lost my dad. And then after COVID, I lost two of my best friends, like within a year of each other. And then I was sitting here listening to the demo version. I was like, this is just isn't hitting. Like, I really like the arrangement of this fucking song. And I went back and I was like, okay, I like this. I like this. So it just kind of came to me like, sitting in the studio where, and then all of a sudden I was like, yeah, this song was meant to be Smile. So I pulled some of the old stuff, a few of the lyrics that's really hung in there. And then I was like, no, I actually have something to say now. Because when I wrote that, it was like, yeah, I'm kind of like depressed, kind of like weird about shit, but so much has happened in the 6 or 7 years since like the Disconnect used to play a version of that song to now. And now I'm like, no, this fucking hits. This hits way, way harder and is way more personal than it was when I first wrote it, which is kind of the cool thing about music. You can just take some, same with This Isn't Tennis, right? Like What Separates Us released it. I remember going to What Separates Us show at Pub Rock. And it was right after I had recorded with them and produced that song, and I was like singing along. So it's like such a humbling and flattering experience to be singing Wes's parts because he's such a G, and to be able to be on stage and sing that song that I was a fan of. So it's almost like that really slept on, low key bad, but I love and will watch once a year Rockstar movie where Mark Wahlberg becomes like the member of Steel Dragon. I'm like, oh shit, I kind of get to like sing with this band I really fucking really appreciate and like. So that's the crazy thing about Rad Stacey is just like it's so many different things coming together from so many different places. That's entertaining as fuck to do.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Well, I'm sorry for your losses, man. Genuinely, that's I can't even really put that into words, man. Going through that, but I'm glad that you have an outlet like music, um, to be able to emote and channel it in a healthy way. And then, like I was telling you guys before the jump, before I officially hit record, like that's the whole meaning behind March 4th. You
Right.
know, and the theme of the name of that's kind of like a personal mantra that I kind of use for myself.
Also, your birthday.
Yeah, yes. Yes. Oh, I see you did your homework. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, my word, man. Yeah, so I think that's like the embodiment of the show right there, man. It's just taking something negative and turning it into a positive because it's hard to do, man. It's
Hmm.
there's always going to be good days and bad days, and like I don't know. I think not to get too philosophical, but I think that's what I've learned in like my 30 plus years. It's happiness is kind of how you define it, but when the darkness comes, you got to kind of learn how to channel that stuff, man.
Right.
But for me, it's always been music. So I'm glad that you have an outlet for it, and that you were able to immortalize them in a song. That's like a really cool thing, man. So not even a question in there. There's just sort of a stream of consciousness.
I appreciate that. No, hell yeah, get philosophical, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Speak your
I
truth.
like your thought process on all that. 'Cause it's yeah, that you're spitting facts, man. It's real, and it's good to think about. And like I feel like not a lot of people think about it nowadays enough, And so music is a good way to smack people around a little bit in the philosophical brain.
Well, especially men's mental health.
When you think about it, that's the vibe.
Like I think I read something, and I don't want to misspeak on facts here, but like young men between like 24, 34, 40 are in America are more likely to commit suicide, I think, than just about any
That's
other.
accurate. Yeah, that's accurate.
You know what I
Oh,
mean?
dude.
And I think like the era that I grew up in, and it seems like we're all around like basically the same age.
We're
I
all
mean, I
millennials here.
grew up in the Midwest, and there was a certain mentality which I do think is good for some things in life. And I've said this on the show before too, but like sort of that rub some dirt on it, you know what I mean? Boys don't cry type of stuff, because life is hard and it does throw you curveballs. But then there's also a part of it where it's like I think a lot of people from our parents' generation, especially men, they were just kind of taught to like stuff it all down. But I think, we've all lived enough life at this point, right? Even the stuff that you guys have shared with me in this conversation, and thanks again for your time. Like, you get to a certain point where that ish is going to boil over, and I think the more you can learn to channel that, and understand that darkness isn't really necessarily like a bad thing. I think life, especially nowadays, everything is very polarized. Like there's no gray area anymore. Whereas I think that life there's a million shades of gray. So darkness often gets like bucketed as evil, and there is some dark that is definitely evil. But then there's some dark, like you're saying, like just death. It's part of life. You're gonna lose people you love. All of us are gonna
Right.
experience a point. There's never a good time to die, right? Heartbreak, right? Any type of loss, like, and there's good and bad ways to deal with it. You know what I mean? And so having music or exercise or any type of art, or community, like all that stuff helps. So that's really why I love doing this show, because there'd be a lot more, and I'm not saying this in a self-righteous way, but I think there'd be a lot more people that would be here if they felt like they could talk about that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or they wouldn't end up with addiction issues that are really crippling or mess their life up for years because they felt like, well, shoot, I'm supposed to be a dude, I'm supposed to be tough, I can't talk about things, so I'm gonna smoke it all to my head, or I'm gonna drink like a fish, and you can only burn the candle at both ends for so long. You know what I mean? And even me, like for me, it's sleep, like just shutting my brain off with some of the things the last few years. So anyway, another kind of long stream, but that's why I think music's important, and I think it's good that we're kind of in a place. It seems like now, as crazy as the world is, where there's more people, regardless of gender identity, that are talking about it. And I feel like more men should talk about that, because it's not weak. Weaker move is to do the fake tough guy thing and puff your chest out. The manly thing is to be able to express yourself in a healthy way.
Mhm.
You know,
100%. Yeah. I mean, there's strength in your weakness. I mean, if you just like know that, understand like, hey, like that, I might be exhibiting something that could be defined as weakness, but dude, like, it's so important to like express those feelings, man. Like, fuck, like it's just it is really, um, it's important to talk to someone, you know.
Yeah, we've all cried in front of each other.
Thank you, Elijah.
Yeah.
No, but type shit, like, so, I mean, my thing is like failure is, I think when people look at the concept of failure as your biggest teacher, they're thinking like failure from like, I like literally failed like a test or I failed some shit like that. But I think, not to quote one of the greatest poker movies in the world, but Rounders is like, and I used to do poker professionally when I was both burning the candle at both ends and trying to be, like, my undergrad is in writing, and I used to be a sports journalist. I used to be a magazine writer and shit like that. But to supplement my income, I played poker like 5-6 nights a week. But it has nothing to do with that. But the point is, like, what the quote was, you know, Matt Damon's character is just like, you know, you could ask a poker player, like, what's their biggest wins, right? Like, I don't know, but they can tell you with like accuracy what their biggest losses are. And, you know, if you can learn from that as not necessarily being a failure, you know, but you're like, oh yeah, I can tell you my biggest, like people like, what's your biggest accomplishment as a writer or a musician or whatever you've done? I'm like, I fucking don't know. Like, what's one of the worst things that's happened to you? Or what's the worst things that have you done? Like, oh yeah, I can tell you what that is. And even on like in a microcosm, when in the music shit is like, so take Creeping Sleep, Somebody to, right off Vibe Writer. I wrote those songs and I kept fucking with the vocals, and I'm like, dude, I can't, there's something here. Like, these are good songs. I can't sing them. So I go to Joey. I'm like, dude, what do you got? So I don't, it's not necessarily a failure, but it's like me. I'm like, I know I can't make this the best possible song it could be. So I'm like, dog, you're the fucking guy who can make shit sound beautiful.
I got some salt and pepper.
Yeah.
A little salt and pepper.
Yeah, I'm like, pepper to gumbo, dude. And so
a little paprika up in there.
So he busts out his fucking demo vocals, and I'm sitting here in this fucking studio where we're at right now, and I'm just like, dog, that's what we fucking need. That is Creeping Sleep. That is, you know, Somebody to.
That's the heat.
That is shit we've got in the pipeline right now where I'm like, dude, I can't sing this shit. I just can't come up with it. I need you to come up in here. So it's the same idea of being like, you know, I may have, you know, in quotes, failed, but it's not a failure if it the fruit of
humility.
It's humility. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, it's humility, being like, no, I you fucking pass this on to someone. Or here's a song, I know this band, hey, do you guys like this arrangement? And they'll take it and they'll run with it. I'm like, you know, salute, God bless, you know, and being able to do that and being able to murder your darlings, right? As a writer, as of any kind, lyrics, verse, prose, whatever. Being able to do that. And I mean, there's so much shit we leave on the cutting room floor too. And like, maybe I'll come back and pull it, you know, but maybe not. Maybe I just spent 12 hours from beginning to end writing an entire song and be like, nah, it's not it. It's fun. It's great. Maybe someone else will use it. Maybe we'll use it, but right now it's not it. And just being able to step away from that, which was something as a young writer and, you know, and as a musician, I was like, everything I write has to happen.
Right. I got to finish this idea, this thought, you know, but dude, sometimes they take a while.
I mean,
it's really like, gross how many unfinished things I have on my computer. It's bad.
But that's the beauty of it. And then you get like, you know, the wheat from the chaff kind of situation, you know, and it's great. So the great thing is having a band, you know, we're all just friends too. Like, we're the friend group, and it's almost like being in high school and like, you know, we've been out of high school for a hot second, except for Elijah, he's a baby.
Hey.
But you know, just being able to like, it feels like this band, the cool thing about this band is I get the same feelings as when I was in high school and you had the high school band, you just showed up and you jammed, and our practices and our jams are like 20% of our hangout. Then you're just like, okay, cool, let's just hang out, let's get fucked up, or, you know, let's go out. Like, we just love being fucking around each other. And I think that is evident in what we do.
Especially live. We have a fun time on stage. I feel like that's one of the best things about adding our live performers is just that we're all like just buddies, you know, and like the whole night's just like, it's a night of fun, you know. We're not like sitting there behind our boards being like, hey guys, come over here. Like, you know, we're not trying to take over the night. We're like, dude, let's have a fucking awesome night where all the bands just kill it. We all just hug each other, you know, we drink a beer together and we call it a night, you know. And it's it's a vibe. for sure.
Shout out.
Major cuddle puddles.
Gotta shout out something
I'll
outrageous.
shout out something outrageous for sure, dude.
Oh, yeah, something outrageous. Our boys halfway to Michigan. Like, again, we love playing with those bands, and check them out if you haven't. Something outrageous, halfway to Michigan. Because they have the same kind of I hate saying vibe because it seems like I'm
I know, right?
shamelessly
Yeah,
fucking
it's
self-pluggy.
lazy writing here.
But we play fucking house parties, small, because they give the same energy. Like, you guys are all friends, you guys are all boys, and I can't imagine not being able to do that. You know, we go on the road. You know, we just go have fun. We kind of do our thing. Sometimes someone stays back and just a couple of us pass out. Some of us go out and party. Some of us
get weird.
Yeah, like we've definitely had some weird situations. A couple of like townies just be like, "Hey, you want to buy this? We got some cocaine." I'm like, I really don't want like Safford cocaine. That's chill. Like, you're either a cop or that's like Fenny, and I'm not gonna fuck with that. I was like, "Are you sure? It's real good shit." I'm like, you know
We're
what?
from Phoenix, sir. Okay.
I rather piss glass. Yeah, I'm gonna use my Phoenician privilege and be like, "Look, bro, I'm this is my first rodeo. Get the fuck out of here."
You, dude. I can smell your.
It's really good. I was like, "Get the fuck out of here." So we've going on the road together is the true test of any real band.
Right. I love going on the road, bro. It's so much
because you're stuck with these fucking cunts.
Right.
And
I gotta drive every time. Stop making me drive.
We do make you drive because you got the best eyesight in the band, dude. I'm wearing contacts.
I'm blind as hell.
You're the band mom, dude. Elijah's the band mom, and Ian's the band dad. That's how the dynamic is on the road.
Yeah, I guess.
Who has the best road trip playlist?
Joey, 100%.
Yeah, because you bogart the fucking playlist, bitch. Like, the fuck.
Because it's my truck, dude, right?
I put on bangers.
That's your fucking roots.
I put on bangers. Don't lie.
Okay, to be fair though, the first time, one of those times, I forget when it was, we went the fuck in Mill Avenue. And then like Elijah you just put on like 2010 banger at one after another. You put on like
the throwback playlist.
You put on that throwback shit, dude. I was like, oh my gosh, this is me just like zooted out of my mind as an intern at the magazine I was working with.
Kiss me through the phone.
Yeah, dude. Bedrock. I was like, dude, this fucker's for real.
Dude, you're taking it back. Yeah,
dude,
that's
straight up. I was like, dude, we showed up to the function like, this ain't even fucking compared to the drive over here.
I know, right? The Uber here was way more lit, dude, or the drive here, or whatever.
Is that the night that Justice passed out in the front lawn?
That was the night Justice passed out in front of Casey Moore's.
Dude, that was so sick.
Like, to put it in perspective, like, I feel like 9 times out of 10, our pregame goes so much harder than where we're actually going. Socially, I've never blacked out on stage. No, yeah, like when you had to drop you fuckers off and call you an Uber because you got too fucked up. Driving 8 minutes to where the bar we were going to. You're like,
that's because Ian was like, "Hey, I'll be over to your house." So me and Elijah were like, "All right, well, Ian's gonna be here pretty soon." So we like started drinking this bottle of honey, like Tennessee honey, and then like before Ian gets to the house, we accidentally finished the bottle of Tennessee honey, and then the rest of the night was a blur from there for me. But I think I scored a date and then flaked. That was the only thing I remember about the night.
You didn't, yeah, Elijah was your date. You took him back in the Uber.
Yeah.
We sent you motherfuckers home.
That's what happened.
And you lost your phone.
Now that you say that.
Dude, you lose your phone so fucking often, bro.
And I lost my phone once again. Yeah, that happens a lot.
We had to pull up on so many Uber drivers. I'm like, dude, how many of these, you know what? Never, I'm going to say, I love Uber drivers. I'm a Lyft person myself, so you know. A lot of Uber
there was that time when
hotels.
me and Ian got sideswiped in an Uber.
Oh shit, I forgot about that.
Okay, guys, you're off the rails now. What are we talking about?
That's crazy. No, I mean that's us. Like that. Like the whole point is like, yeah, we enjoy each other's company. It's not like a bunch of hired gun situation. And so we get down to the jam session, and as crazy as it sounds, like, you know, we're on business when we rehearse, and then. Same kind of shit. Like we could, you know, we played shows, obviously, especially when we're on the road, you know, and have another date the next day or whatever. We can't be ridiculous like those days. We definitely have done those in other bands and shit. But at the end of the day, that is, you know, kind of the attitude. Like you just come in, you get on stage, you're like, okay, sound check. And whatever happens, it just clicks. It's like, I mean, yeah, I could be fucked up and be like, dude, sound check, check 1, check 2, vocals, guitar. And it's like, I'm locking in, like, because it is the same. So here's a weird story to tell you, like, so this, I keep this to this day. When I was in high school, I was like 17. I was playing a show was in Arizona. It was the Mason Jar back then, Mouse the Rebel Lounge, and it was a Friday night show, and I knew report cards were being sent out that weekend, and I had like a C, which my parents were not. They didn't fuck with that. So I was like, dude, I'm gonna get grounded for like probably the next 6 weeks. Can't have band practice. Can't play shows. So that was like, as weird as that sounds, the moment where I was like, hey, I'm gonna get on stage, and I'm just gonna go hard as hell, get weird as fuck on stage, because I don't know the next time I'm going to play. And then, you know, so that's kind of the ethos I use every time I get on stage. I'm like, I don't know the next time I'm getting on stage. You know, I don't know if there's a Mack truck with my name on it. I don't know if something's, God forbid, going to happen in the band. So every time I'm getting on stage, I'm like, this is a privilege to be up here and do that shit. And I never lost it. I was like, yeah, dude, like, man, I always don't get grounded anymore. I ground my own kid. But like, you know, that's just kind of like, you got to get up there. You can have as much fun as you want. You can dick around with this band. You know, we're on business. You know, we're not here to party and just fuck around and do shit. Like, we want to have fun. But most important thing is to put on a great show, because we never forget that, yes, if we just want to be artists, cool, we could release shit all day. We don't forget we're entertainers too. We're in the entertainment business. It's, you know, it's not show friends, you know, it's show business. So that's what we do. We get on business every time we get on stage, and we realize that's a fucking privilege.
Want to tell that?
Hell yeah, man. Well, dudes, this has been awesome chatting with you guys, man. I feel like I could talk to you dudes for like 4 hours, and it would be awesome. It'd be all.
Heck yeah, man.
But I just keep doing your thing, man. For what it's worth, from a dude on the other side of the country doing this podcast, like, again, connection's important. That's why we're all here, and music is just it's a huge force in my life. And being able to do this show and you know, talk to guys like you doing your thing, making what you love to make, and connecting with people. It's sick. So for everybody listening, definitely listen to Vibe Rider. Go back and listen to the old stuff too. And just, going on the theme, and we've kind of touched on it already in the show, but just as kind of a closer, is there anything that you guys want to share with people listening to this relative to perseverance, moving forward, things or healthy coping mechanisms that help you guys kind of get to a better headspace?
One of you guys want to take it? I got shit for days. What you got, Elijah?
What you got, Elijah?
Just surround yourself with really good friends.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
That's
it.
Yeah. I guess just to be as brief and short and sweet, just be as intentional as you can about who you surround yourself with and what you're doing with your life, and always show yourself love, and just remember, love is always, that will always win. And I hate to sound like a hippie, but that's just like the truth. Like being positive about things and just showing love to everybody around you always, no matter what. I think that's like how you form yourself a good, happy life. And I would just say, love yourself. There you go.
I agree 100% with Elijah. Just surround yourself with good people, know that you're loved, and that life is fucking amazing, because you don't know who you're going to meet. You take me back to when I was experiencing shit that Smile's about. There's a moment where I'm just, on the verge of just, fuck that, I'm done, I'm out. But, life is entertaining as shit to me. You can't lose sight of that. Like, it gets dark, it gets bad, but you never know who you're going to meet and is going to turn that shit around for you. If you're in the depths of like a breakup, which sure plenty of us have had, where you're just like, oh, that's it, that's done, it hurts as shit. Death, whatever you feel like you're at, give it time, man. You got to give, like, whether you're pissed off at someone in the moment, you like count to 10, that old school, just count to 10. Don't knock them out yet. Kind of attitude, count to 10 in life. Give it months, because you never know who you're going to fucking meet. And you never know what you're gonna experience, because life is, the thing that keeps me here, that doesn't get me checked out. Um, is, dude, I am so entertained. Doesn't matter how depressed or weird I've gotten, from the lowest of lows where I'm like, this is the moment, I'm out, to the highest of highs. It's just like, dude, this life is so entertaining to me, and it should be fun. Like, don't take shit too seriously. Like, you got to be having fun. You've got to. So here's one thing I'm going to share, if it's not too much. I think everybody should write their own obituary, because it's a practice not in morbidity or something like that, but it should be cathartic. Like, how are you remembered now? And not to bring up your shortcomings, but how are you remembered now? Where do you want to be? But if that was that moment, it's one of the most cathartic things I've ever done. It's just sitting and writing my own obituary. How do I want to be perceived? How do I think people? It's really reflective if you really want to get deep with it. How do people perceive me? Kind of attitudes. So, and when you look at it, you're like, when I walked away from this, I'm like, that's cool. Like, I'm okay. I'm like, dude, I don't want to leave yet. This is just too much good shit going on here, And so I think just taking moments of self-care, mentally, physically, surround yourself with love people, find the love, listen to music, do you, man. You got one shot at it. It seems trite and like a banal platitude or whatever. Feel like, but you got one life, and it's entertaining as fuck if you want it to be. And not everybody has the privilege to be like, yes, it's entertaining every day, but there's something to it. Go enjoy yourself.
Hell yeah.
Guys, this has been awesome, man. Thank you so much. Elijah, Joey, Ian, for real, man. I appreciate you dudes. You got an open invite anytime you want to come back on, man. Genuinely appreciate the conversation. Again, everybody listening, go check out Vibe Rider. Go check out the old stuff too. And go check these dudes out live. And just to put a button on it officially, for people who aren't aware, and I know we're gonna have a lot of Rad Stacey fans listening to this, y'all. Let them know where they can find you, and whatever you want to spill, because this is the last episode of 2024, and I couldn't honestly
Ooh.
I couldn't think of a better way to close out 2024 for real, man. Like, this has been.
Thank you.
What can you tell people without, again, I'm not trying to, spill the tea or, release anything that you guys aren't ready to dive into just yet, but what can you tell people for 2025 and where they can find you?
Ooh, yeah, we've been in the studio a lot lately. Me and Ian have been writing, and we've all been sending demos back and forth. And we have our next EP written and rocking. We actually just ran through it the other day, and and we're really excited about this next. It almost feels like every song we write, we're just getting more creative, and So I would just say be ready for some new, hot, fun, emotional, punky shit,
And just wait till I start writing things.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, like the next venture is like, we've done the easycore, we've done pop punk, now we're getting heavy,
Yeah.
So we're gonna, we do everything. So
yeah.
2 7-strings, let's go.
It's gonna get weird.
Yeah.
So, and it, be ready, get entertained, come out to a show.
Yeah, lots of shows, festivals, all kinds of stuff.
We're always down. We're, your band, you like the shit, hit us up. We love playing shows. Obviously, live is the reason we do it. But yeah,
anywhere.
And if you haven't listened to Mike's, March 4th, like I've listened to several of the episodes, man. Like, check him out, man. If you hear this, episode, dude, Mike's no bullshit. He's on business. So check out all the great artists he has worked with, and you won't go wrong no matter where you land.
Alrighty, dighty, there you have it. That was my conversation with Elijah, Ian, and Joey of Rad Stacey out of Phoenix, Arizona. Make sure you go follow these guys on Instagram at Rad Stacey Music. The links to all of their stuff will be in the podcast description for this episode. So just scroll down to the bottom of that podcast description hit those links and go follow and support my new friends in Rad Stacey. You will not be disappointed if you love easycore, if you love pop punk, if you love hard rock. They put it all in a blender for their own unique sound. Once again, their latest new EP, Vibe Rider, is out now wherever you get your music. So go run up the numbers, go run up the streams on whatever service you use to put music in your eardrums. And I genuinely just want to say once again to the bros, Ian, Joey, Elijah, the whole Rad Stacey camp, man. I just want to say thank you guys so much for taking the time to come on the podcast and share more about your musical journey with me and the listeners of this show. Truly, man, I genuinely mean it. It's not lip service. I really couldn't think of a better episode to close out this year with. This year for me has been, like I said, the show has done really well, and I'm not saying that to toot my own horn because I ain't one to boast, but this has been the biggest year for the show yet, and I really just think it's a testament to all of the wonderful people like yourselves who come on the show and have the courage to be vulnerable and share your music, share your stories, and just vibe with me and with the listeners of this show. And I'm sorry for the things that y'all went through that you talked about on this show. Genuinely, the ebb and flow of life and the ups and the downs and the darkness and the light that we all go through. And I think a lot of life is finding a balance, and I'm glad that you guys found each other and you're making kick-ass music. And you are really fun to talk with, and you have an open invite to come back anytime. So happy holidays to everybody in Rad Stacey. And we might have something cooking in 2025, y'all. So stay tuned. But yeah, dudes, I really appreciate the time. And I appreciate everybody listening. If Rad Stacey brought you here, thank you so much for hopping aboard that pirate ship. For those of you who aren't aware, fun little Easter egg for the podcast. That is a nod to the Goonies. I say it like every 20 or so episodes, just in case people are like, "Oh, that's where that's from." That dude's not just some weirdo who does weird voices. I mean, I am, you know what I mean. But it is a nod to the Goonies because at the end there is the Southern reporter all the way out in Astoria, Oregon, at the Goondocks, and as One-Eyed Willie's ship is sailing into the Pacific, into the sunset, if I'm not mistaken. Why am I second guessing myself? It's my favorite movie of all time. Yes, the sun was setting. Um, and he says it appears to be some sort of pirate ship. Somehow that dude got an assignment back in like 1984, all the way out in friggin' Oregon, and he is covering a, very old pirate ship coming out of a cave that it was walled into thanks to One-Eyed Willie's hijinks. And that was his line that he delivered at the end of the movie. When it comes to lines like that, too, quick aside, this is just kind of where my mind rants and goes. And sometimes I leave it in. Sometimes I take it out when I feel like I'm pontificating too much. But I'm on one right now. Um, but I always think about the audition sessions, when people have to come in and it's just a couple of lines. So I wonder what his lines were, if there was more, if he was interviewing, uh, like doing more, kind of one-on-ones with the cast and stuff like that, or if that was just the line that he had to knock out. Like, did they get somebody from the Midwest to try to do it? Did they get different dialects, different accents? And they just figured that one just hit with that Southern accent as the ship is sailing. It appears to be some sort of pirate ship, right? Because if you had a guy like me on there with a Midwest accent, like, hey, it appears to be some sort of pirate ship, you know what I mean? It just doesn't kind of, it doesn't hit as much, you know what I mean? So shout out to that guy. Shout out to the whole Goonies camp. God, what a job that would have been. That ship, I think, eventually just got kind of taken apart because they didn't know what to do with it. Dude, I would buy tickets right now to go to Oregon and hop aboard One-Eyed Willie's ship. I would easily pay $100 for that. Like, I would pay one hundo big ones right now to go on One-Eyed Willie's ship and to like go down that like water slide that the kids all went down. You know what I'm saying? Swim in that awesome water. I do all of it. That the Goonies should have its own theme park, right? Let's petition for that. Let's manifest that in 2025. I think they're doing a reboot, not a remake, thankfully, from what I understand, because if they CGI'd my favorite movie to death, I would just be so disappointed. And it's not that CGI doesn't add things to movies, because it does. There's some very well done CGI now, but that's part of what makes Goonies so awesome is because the cast was great, the story was great, it's adventure, it's friendship, you know what I mean? And the score is amazing. The whole thing's great. But what a swing and a miss to not keep the ship, right? I mean, dude, that would be like, other than doing this podcast for a living, that would be my other dream job. Like, what do you do for a living? I manage One-Eyed Willie's ship, dude. Mic drop. That's my job. Yeah. What do you mean you manage? Dude, I mean, I manage One-Eyed Willie's ship. It's in the harbor right now. That is my job. People come aboard and they experience joy because I take them on a tour down memory lane. They show their kids and they exit through the gift shop, buy a couple of Goonies t-shirts. We donate some proceeds to, preserving the ocean and wildlife because your boy is about the environment. And that's my job. Every day I get to see people smile and I get to relive one of my favorite childhood memories. Like, what better job is that? So anyway, swing and a miss. They let the ship go. I'm creeping up on 7 minutes in the close here. What a way to end 2024, right? For me to be long-winded, but I've actually gotten better at being more concise over the years, folks, if you can believe that. But yeah, fun Easter egg for you, for you new listeners out in Arizona. Listen to this goofball in your eardrums right now as you're on the treadmill in the gym, or you're knocking out a difficult VLOOKUP in your Excel spreadsheet, hammering out those year-end reports. But thank you, for real. Thank you all. I really appreciate it. I'm super excited for 2025. I'm grateful for this entire journey, man. When I think back to when I got this, puppy going again in 2020, and I started doing 3 episodes a month, dating back to the summer of 2021. I think the first one I put out because I was just so stoked about it was Kellen from Memphis Mayfire. Shout out to Kellen and the boys. Their new stuff is sick, dude. Um, the stuff that I've heard so far, and he's a really nice guy. And shout out to his wife Tiff. They're great people. Um, but that was the first one I put out, I believe, is like an extra episode, like a bonus episode. And then I thought, you know what, man, I'm gonna keep it going. I'm gonna keep this run going. I'm gonna keep doing 3 a month. I feel like two's not enough to really stay in people's minds, and not enough for them to really get to know you if they listen to the show and they subscribe. And here we are, 4.5 years later, still going strong, coming off the strongest year yet for the show. And it really truly is a testament to all the wonderful people like Rad Stacey and the listeners that their fans and the bands and their fans, the other bands bring on when I bring them on the show. And all of you who have supported me along the way. There's way too many people to thank. And I've ranted enough about the Goonies, even though I could talk about that all day. Maybe we should get the Goonies on the show. What do you guys think? Anybody out there with any connections, let them know. Hey, Josh Brolin, come aboard the pirate ship, huh? Sean Astin, where you at? Rudy, another one of my favorite movies. I digress, but for realsies, man, I am really humbled and grateful for everything that's coming my way right now, and I'm trying really hard to, if I could be serious here for a moment, to rework the synapses in my brain that have been firing the way they have for so long. And I didn't know I was going to get deep, but I'm going to get deep right now. I've beat myself up for a really, really long time with my anxiety and my OCD tendencies, um, my overthinking, my intrusive thoughts. It is the thing that I am the most insecure about. And I kind of have held back from really opening up, like really opening up, after some stuff that I went through. And so that's kind of one of the things that I've been working on. And this show I kind of reveal bits and pieces of myself, but it's not about me. It's about the guests, But I'm open about this stuff, man. Because there's all darkness that we carry. There's all darkness that we go through, and I've lived through it to tell the tale. And so if you're struggling out there, just know it gets better. Don't be ashamed of who you are. Don't look at yourself as a problem. Don't look at the things about yourself you don't like as a problem. Just look at them as aspects of who you are. We all have positive attributes. We all have negative attributes. But if you're here, you are a walking miracle just to be alive. And don't ever lose your sense of humor. and don't forget to continue to seek joy and bring joy to others, man. That is what makes me feel the most alive. And so embrace all your quirks, and you know, feel the fear and fight through that ish, man, because there's light on the other side of that darkness. I promise you. I'm living proof of it. And I'm grateful. So I love you all. Happy holidays to you and yours, whatever it is that you celebrate. Onward and upward to a wonderful 2025, man. So keep the faith and be kind to one another. Listen to Rad Stacey, courtesy of the boys, man. Here is This Isn't Tennis from Rad Stacey. Peace.
I got the strangest feeling. I think I heard you knocking on my door. You'll probably find me fucked up, jacking it till passed out on the floor. I wish I thought of you today and know there is no other way. Thought I couldn't live without you. I guess I'm just not that about you.